Amazing. Hi, everybody. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to be here. My name is Adelaide Jones, and I am the founder of the Accessible Education Project. Today, I'm sharing with you all my 4-part check-in series on holistic wellness for students. And before we get into it too much, I know that you have probably watched the video already or maybe looking at those resources now, but I was not taking care of myself very well as a teacher for a while, and it's still like an ongoing problem for me, especially as I was finishing up my master's degree over the past couple of years. I feel like I kind of fell off a little bit, and I needed to find a way to. Hi guys. I'm sorry, I was in the wrong comment section. I'm here now. But I needed to find a way to better take care of myself. And I love this conference. There's so many great tips and tools for teachers to incorporate self-care into their routine. But I wasn't even there yet. I wasn't able to think about my own care in any way. I'm a teacher. I'm like, I don't know, I give more than I take care of myself. I'm sure a lot of you are that same way. So I needed to figure out how could I incorporate self-care into the things I was already doing in my teaching practice. So I created this system for students, but I started doing it right along with them. And I found through that experience that I was taking care of myself too. So, this 4-part series that I created is not just for our students, which definitely is. There's so many benefits to that, but it's also for us as educators to help us regulate our emotions, make sure that we are taking care of our self needs, and really help us see the same thing I do for the students, help us see how the way we treat our body affects our mind's ability to function. So, that's what this is in this 4-part check in series. All right, so I'm so excited that you all are here. I see a couple comments. I see folks from North Carolina who teach first grade. I love that. Where else are y'all from? I'll tell you guys, I am goofy. I am a traveling teacher. So I have taught in a bunch of different states. I live in my camper van with my husband and 2 cats, and we travel from place to place. And I'm a special education teacher, filling in for typically a school year at a time. But I'm about to start my 2nd year at a high school in Los Angeles. Right now, I am in my grandparents' house in Indiana. I am visiting home. So I found a nice spot to be able to do this. Amazing. Okay, we've got somebody from Wisconsin teaching social studies in middle school. Love that. And 2nd grade, South Carolina. I love that. Amazing. So we got quite a range here. I am happy to talk to you guys about any way to adjust this for the grade level that works best for you. As I said, I've worked as a traveling teacher, so at this point, I have taught every grade level except 1st and 2nd. I've taught preschool through 12th. I just never gotten to 1st and 2nd yet, but there's still time. So I do know how to adjust these things to make them better fit our students' needs. But like I said, I'm also a special education teacher, so we do a lot of adapting. All right, I want to see if there's a way for me to share my screen on this thing. Brittany, if you're still in there, can you tell me if I'm allowed to share my screen here or if it doesn't work like that? But anyway, I do have 4 tools that I've shared. What'd she say? Yeah, I can share. What am I doing wrong? Oh, presents. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I was like looking all over. I'm like, where does it say screen share? I'm like, no, it says present. It's beautiful. All right, let me share my holding screen with y'all. Here we are. All right. Glad to see it. Now we have the towers that go forever. I pulled everything up here. Got 4 things. And you know what? I know I put this in my presentation, but I just want to, let's do this for a second. Help us all out. I put these graphics into my Canva presentations whenever I possibly can, like the 2nd slide or something, when I'm about to start a new lesson with my students. And it's just this goofy little thing that looks like it's breathing, right? And we just take a deep breath in when it comes in like that, and then a breath out when it gets bigger. So let's do that together for 3 cycles. Breathe in and out. In and out. And breathe in and breathe out. Fantastic. So if you take nothing else away from this presentation, maybe just adding those every now and then is a good way to incorporate mindfulness into what we do. All right. I'm going to go ahead and get into these 4 tools and let you guys ask any questions about them specifically. The first one is this Printable Check-in and Healthy Habits Tracker, right? So it's a piece of paper. It looks something like this, and you can adjust these. All of these are completely editable. So I got the date, and then I have my students put a stress level on from 1 to 10. Like, how stressed are you feeling? The next question is the best thing that I've seen in 24 hours. That is a sneaky little gratitude question. You can ask your students a gratitude question right here. Because if you say, what is one thing you're grateful for? At least my teenagers I work with right now, they're not responsive to that. But if you say, what's the best thing you've seen in the past 24 hours? They can come up with something and it has the same effect. And then next is like the the pain scales you see at the hospital, kind of. It's facial expressions and like, how much water am I drinking? Am I drinking 8 cups of water? And if I'm not doing so great with that, then I'll put the frowny face. If I am doing good, I'll put the happy face, that sort of thing. So we answer those questions. I have the students create a goal every time. So progress on last goal, we'll look back and they can rate themselves, put the new goal, and any notes. So that is, how do I get back to where I was? There we go. That is what I have for that first one. You can, like I said, edit and change whatever you need to. Oh, good. I'm glad you guys love the breathing graphic. You can do whatever you need to with that. I like to, did you guys see like the background of that? I like to put different like doodle type things so they can color or just, shade in with their pencil if they don't really feel like doing that mindfulness activity, because that is also a mindfulness activity, even if they don't realize it, right? Okay, let me read what we have here. Oh my gosh, Hannah, I'm so glad you said that thing about the zones of regulation, because that is going to come up in one of the next tools that we use, and I use it with my high schoolers all the time. So we'll definitely talk about that. And good, Maggie, I love that you're using that breathing graphic in your classroom slides. I started doing that like 2 years ago, and it really makes a difference. Even when I'm doing like teacher professional developments, throwing that in there is very helpful. And for me, like even right now, like, I mean, I'm fine. You guys are cool. But, presenting, I can get a little nervous sometimes. Teaching, I can get a little nervous if I'm applying a new concept. But if I just put that in there, that gives me a break too. And I just, did that breathing exercise with you guys. So it regulated myself. Right? Okay. So I don't remember the order I put these in. Let me check. Is the holistic? Yeah. Okay, great. The second one is a student created mindfulness kit. And Hannah, like I said, I'm so glad that you mentioned the zones of regulation, because we're about to talk about how we can have our students build their own toolkit for that. And yeah, the receptiveness for students to be cool with doing it. Yeah, they roll their eyes. There's nothing that was going to stop them from rolling their eyes. They're teenagers. That's kind of how they take it in. But it's just about being consistent with it, doing it right along with them, being our authentic selves with them, and showing them that, like, hey, I'm doing this too, and it's helpful for me in these ways. With time, they all get there. All of my students have gotten there eventually. But it's just a matter of taking that practice one step at a time, and showing them how you're using it in your own life, even as an adult. Okay. All right. So yes, I want to talk about this next tool. And while I share my screen, I'm not able to see your comments, but I promise I'll like stop after each one of these and come back and talk to you guys. Okay. Can you see my screen? Yeah. Okay. Okay, good. I'm just waiting for that little thing to come back. All right. The next one is this mindfulness toolkit. And if you're an elementary school teacher, this one might be a lot with what I'm about to explain, but I can also point you to a resource that is better for the elementary students in just a minute. I'm happy to share that too. I don't think I included it with the freebies, but I'll still drop the link for you guys, okay? So yeah, if you don't know what the zones of regulation are, if you're completely new to this, is this thing right here. You basically categorize feelings into 4 different zones: green, blue, yellow, and red. And you can see what those kind of look like. I put some suggested feelings and what the theme of each one of those is. So green zone is go, blue zone rest, Yellow zone, we need to slow down. And red zone, we need to stop completely and regroup. So I have students do this sort of like I print journal. I print this whole thing out and give it to them at once. And we do it for, I can't remember how many weeks I had it set up. I generally do each one of these a quarter, so 9 weeks or so. And I do include a pacing guide of exactly how to do this. I'm just not pulling it up right this moment, but it is included with your stuff. So once you explain the zones, you have them fill out what does it mean to you, and then you just have them track for 1 week. This is all we do for a whole week. Put the date, what zone are you feeling today? So like I'm feeling my blue today, whatever. And then you give yourself a self-care score from a scale of 1 to 10. This first week is just about data collection, okay? And then you introduce the green zone. We have this toolkit full of different resources, and they're categorized by different things like breathing exercises, mindfulness activities, whatever. And there's several suggestions. I think I have 3 or 4 in each of these boxes, and they're all related to that theme of go. All right. And I have this whole thing repeats. Is the blue zone ideas are going to be different than the green zone because that theme is rest, which are going to be different than the yellow zone because that theme is slow down, which is different than the red zone, right? So I have them practice these with me for a week. So like week 1 is doing this guy. And then week 2, we just practice one of these mindfulness activities together for like the first 5 minutes of class or so for a whole week. Okay. And then the week after that, I give them some time to brainstorm. I guess I just do this one day. Fill out for 5 whole minutes things that make you feel energized. And they can pull from this list. Maybe they'll come up with their own things. And then eventually they will create this kit where they write down their top 5 activities for when they are feeling in the green zone. What will this look like for you and what materials do you need? So you are helping them build their own kit for how they're feeling in different situations with mindfulness techniques to help them in that scenario. And then I just repeat. So the next week is just tracking. And the week after that is just experimenting with blue zone activities. Week after that, we fill out this whole thing, and I repeat until I get this whole thing done. And then they have this all school year. So that's typically what I do in quarter 2. Do you guys have any questions about that? No. And if you just give me a second here, my many things in my drive. I have these other things that I call take a break rooms. And I'm going to go ahead and drop this in the chat. How do I share my folder? Yeah. Here you go. This is great for both elementary and secondary. You can go ahead and click that link and you should have access to this entire folder. But these are my, what do I call them? Take a break rooms. They're all going to be a little bit different. So the elementary ones are really great. I'm going to look at the K through 4 one because I have some teachers in that situation right now. And then you're going to, I know I have like my graphics here, but you can go to the one that's the slide. It says K4 take a break room. Click on that. And here's how this one works. It's already made for the students. So you'll pick one kid, like maybe, I don't know, you just pick one kid or maybe a group of kids and they'll tell you which zone they're feeling that day. So if they're having a rough one, they're in the red zone. Okay, we're feeling in the red zone and we talk about what that means. And then which one of these things do we want to do together today? And like maybe we want to do a meditation. Fantastic. Here's a video ready to go. Just like that. So if you don't think like building the kit out would be appropriate for the grade level of students or maybe the ability level of your students, then that other kit can be really helpful with the take a break rooms. And I do have those for, like I said, secondary as well, but we have elementary stuff. Oh, I'm so glad that those are going to be helpful for you in your 5th grade class. Yes. So that's the second tool out of the 4. It's a mindfulness toolkit that students create themselves, right? Do you guys have any questions about that one before we move on to the next? Oh, of course. I love to connect with people. It takes all of us together to figure this out. I can't tell you guys how much, and I hope she's still in here. I can't tell you guys how much Brittany has helped me, even though like I'm on the other side of the country. Just like watching her resources and how she organizes her own systems have really inspired me throughout the years. I've been coming to this conference for the past 4 years. It's been really amazing. And I am just so happy to connect with everybody here. All right. So Jess, okay, let's look at part 3. Okay, this one is my assessment tool. This is the thing that I've been using the longest, I think. When I first started like posting on TikTok and sharing my teacher resources, this is the tool that got me to, I guess, where I am today. It kind of blew up overnight back in 2020, and it was so helpful for me. I've sold thousands of these over the past 4 years. So I hope you can take this and use it in a way that works best for you. Okay, so this next one is completely digital. The other 3 that I shared are printables. This one is digital, so just know that going into it. And it uses what we call the wheel of emotions. And this is the slide you're going to get when you actually go and click on it. There's a video right here where I'm going to teach you how to do everything step by step. So I don't want you to feel intimidated, like maybe you don't know how to use Google Slides as well. It's okay. I'll teach you. When you actually want to get your form, you're going to click on the wheel of emotion here. And then it's going to tell you to make a copy. I make my copy. And then it takes 500 years to share or to make a copy. But anyway, it's going to pull up a Google form here. Yes. And it uses something, like I said, called the wheel of emotions. If you don't know what I'm talking about, oh my gosh, this thing is great. You start with one of the middle feelings here. These are our primary emotions. And like, I know there's a debate on what the primary emotions actually are. This is the wheel I have. Okay. We're looking at these primary emotions, and then students pick one of those. Like, let's say they're feeling happy. Great. Let's get a little more specific. So we go to the middle layer. Which one of these are you actually feeling? You're like, oh, I'm feeling proud today. Fantastic. Which one best describes you, successful or confident? That way you can really help them hone into how they're feeling, and in some cases, what we need to do to change that in one way or another. I do this during the 3rd quarter of my school year, but again, you can do these anytime. Let's go ahead and look at it in preview form. So you're going to put first name, last name, and then how are you feeling today? Oh, I picked bad. I should have picked happy. Whatever. And then they're going to choose the one that's best for them. So it changes based on what they selected before. So maybe they're feeling stressy, depressy today. So feeling stressed. We go next. How does this describe how you feel? I'm feeling out of control, man. Okay. And now it gets into some of those personal care questions or self-care questions. This one, when's the last time you've had a meal, not just snacks? And they'll tell you. How much sleep did you get last night? Oh, you're getting less than 4 hours of sleep. Maybe that's why you don't feel so good today. How much water have you had? Have you had enough to drink, or water to drink to be healthy? Maybe. How productive are we feeling today? Best thing you've seen the past 24 hours, very similar to the other one that we made. And then anything else you want your teacher to know. During COVID, I got some of the most intense answers that I was never expecting students to actually fill out in this box right here. They were telling me all sorts of things, especially when I couldn't see them in person. And it was so powerful. A lot of other educators shared with me that like they found out that, I don't know, their student had an eating disorder. They found out another student needed services for mental health. Like all of these things I was able to find out because I implemented this form, and I've continued this as we come back into the classroom. And as I roll that out into quarter 3, it's a lot. Students are just more willing to fill it out overall. Okay. And again, for my elementary teachers, if you're looking at that and you're like, Adelaide, that's a lot of words. Those are a lot of big words. I don't know if my students will be able to really identify their emotions that way. Because I made another version that's very similar. It's this. So if your students are able to process these words, they can do it, but there might need to be some vocabulary taught. But really, I think a first grader could understand these concepts if we take the time to explain them, So it's the same thing. It just breaks it down into something a little more manageable for our students who have more limited vocabulary. Okay. All of those data points go into a Google form. And like I said, there's a video that I share with you to set up that Google form or Google Sheet. I'm sorry. It all goes to a Google Sheet. I have a video that shows you how to set up that Google Sheet so it's not super overwhelming, and you can manage that and check it periodically. Yeah. So that was the next one. Do you guys have any questions about that resource before I move on? Have you used the Wheel of Emotions before in your practice? Have you guys seen that before? I'm glad I'm talking about this because I brought like 3 waters next to me when I came upstairs to prepare. And I'm like, I need to actually drink water through this. How would I introduce that to my class? I make these mindfulness practices and everything I'm showing you such a regular part of my routine that it gets to the point that this is my check-in, like my school calls them do nows. This is immediately the first thing that they do when they walk in. So I get them to the point that they know each quarter it's going to change to something else. So for the one I just shared, the Wheel of Emotion one I fill it out in front of them. That's really it. All of these things that I'm showing you, I fill it out in front of them. It's really what I was saying before. If I show them how I use this as an adult, and I just talk to them and check in through my day, like, hey, I'm feeling this way today because you know what? I don't know, something happened the other night and I didn't get enough sleep and now I'm kind of cranky today. And I know that in order to take care of myself, I need to go to bed earlier. Just talking them through that process is not something that all students have an adult in their life who's doing that. So that's the way I'm able to regulate my own emotions and actually show my students as well. So that's how I introduce it. I'll pull the big old wheel up and talk about that. We'll maybe go through some vocabulary stuff, but other than that, it's just a matter of, hey, this is what we're doing, guys. We're going to do this all quarter. Let's go. And something else with the Google Form one that's kind of fun, you can print out the Google Sheet, and there's a way to do it so it'll separate by students and print their own form. So after we've been doing that for a whole quarter, maybe even just half the quarter, I'll print this out and hand it to students. I'm like, hey, what patterns are you noticing? What are we seeing here? What do we need to change? What's going well? That sort of thing. Okay. All right, we have one more tool left, and this one is probably the easiest to implement. It's probably the fastest, and you can definitely do it with any grade level. I'm excited about this one. I finally made this a graphic instead of just talking about it like I have for years. But let me get to it. If I can find it. Okay. Boom, boom. Okay, this one is called an energy self-assessment. I have the printout for this, but for years, I just gave students a Post-it, okay? And you tell them to draw a battery. Or if you don't want to do a battery, I used to do the shape of like a gingerbread man. Either one's fine. But they draw a battery or some kind of figure, and you tell them to fill that in your energy level as if it's a battery, right? So I give them the comparison of my phone battery. I look at it, and right now I'm at 86%. So it's filled up to like right here, right? So I would fill in the rest of it and write my 86 down here. And then all around it, I'm going to write down things that I can do to get myself to 100%. What do I need to change? Do I need to do yoga? That's my personal thing. Do I need to drink more water? Do I need to call a friend? Whatever it could be, what are some things that I could do to recharge to get to 100%? That's the whole concept. I did make a different version of this. So this, like I said, this is the first version. I guess I could present this so you can see the whole screen. Sorry about that. This is the first version. And then this is the second. Very similar, except you would just circle the one that seems most like how you're feeling. Oh, wait, are you 100%? Maybe not so much. And then down here, I have them write down 3 things that they can control to stay or get closer to 100%. So if you have a kiddo that might need a little more structure, it's just a different version. I actually have my students choose. I print both of them, and I just say that, hey, we're going to do this for, I don't know, 4 weeks. So you need X number of little papers. So go pick them out, choose the ones that you like. You can switch them up. And then I have them staple it together in a little book. And all of these, I actually have them stapled together in a little book, except the Google Form one. The rest of them I turn into like a journal type thing, and they make that each quarter. All right. So those are the 4 tools that I use. Like I said, I have 1 per quarter and I switch them out. You don't have to do it that way. Maybe you would prefer to do 1 every day of the week, and then on the 5th day of the week, you take a rest, or maybe you just do one of the mindfulness activities together. It doesn't matter. You make it your own. I prefer to use the same one for a while to help them just see the patterns, and also help them see that consistent habits are beneficial. Like maybe one of these will stick with a kid. Maybe they'll continue to use it after this, and I just want to show them a pattern of using it over time. So that's what I got. Like I said, using all of those tools right along with my students, demonstrating it with them, demonstrating it multiple class periods a day. If you're teaching the secondary levels, you start to become regulated yourself as well. Just teaching that, you start to take care of yourself as well when you make that a regular part of your teaching practice. And like I said, I was so stuck for a long time that even though I knew that I needed to do all of these things for myself and take on less, and all the amazing things that I've learned like in yesterday's sessions and whatnot, those are all great. But if you're not even able to do that, if all you're doing is trying not to lose your job as a teacher and just showing up every day, then this is a way that we can still fit that in. It's like our little emergency system built right into our instruction. Yeah. I'm so grateful that you guys were all here today. Do you have any additional questions for me? Or about the system? Or maybe accessing these resources? I would love to help you out. Okay, I'm not seeing additional comments, so I'm going to, for the last minute here, to give my little pitch. I am the founder of Accessible Education Project. It is a growing collection of a lot of different things. I don't know what I started it being. I started it just kind of sharing my resources, sort of like Teachers Pay Teachers, but it has developed into something more. I based my entire grad school project from Boston College off of finding ways to use technology to make learning more accessible for teachers and to make their lives, or for students, and to make teachers' lives easier. So there's less burnout, more teacher retention, all of that good stuff. So I have a ton of resources. Please consider going and signing up for my newsletter, or maybe downloading one of the free resources, because you'll also be signed up for the newsletter that way. And we can keep in touch. I am all over the country, and I move around a lot, so I love making connections with people online. Like, it's hard. It's hard to make genuine friendships with people when you move around so much. So if you like my vibes and my energy, please follow me on all the social medias, because I would love to connect with you and get to know you and all that good stuff. Yeah. Yes, and Brittany is right. We have our last Q&A of the day next with Susan. I'm so excited to see her session. And I just want to thank you all so much for being here today. Oh, thank you guys. I appreciate you all. Thank you, everyone. All right, I'm gonna head off here. I don't know if I'm like a minute and a half under, Brittany. I don't know if we're allowed to stop it now or not, but I'm happy to just hang out here if anybody has any questions.